Brown Boy Wonder podcast.
Welcome to the Brown Boy Wonder podcast. In this spooky edition of the Brown Boy Wonder podcast, we are going to watch the Conjuring Universe in this month of October. My guests and I are gonna watch. I don't know if it's part of the Conjuring Universe, but people say it is. But let me bring my guest here. You should know him from the previous ones. It is Skyler. Skyler, how are you doing today?
Oh, the whiplash that I'm facing watching such a fun movie last time.
Yeah.
Talking about this one. Oh my god. Not doing good. Not doing good.
Well, I have a question for you, man.
Hit me with that question. I'm ready for it.
Do you want to play hide and clap?
No, but I will play hide and biscuits.
Hide and biscuits. Everyone remember to watch Conjuring 2 because there's a boy named Billy and he loves his biscuits.
Yes, sir.
But in today's episode, we are going to talk about, because we will rewatch this movie. I don't know if it's part of the universe. Skyler says it is, but some people say it is. People say it's not. Well, go ahead.
Okay. Don't you dare blame me for this. This movie was directed by the guy that directed Annabelle. Mm-hmm. And it was written by the guy that wrote Annabelle.
Yeah.
And it has one carryover character.
Yeah.
So if anything, blame that guy. Blame the guy that is in both Annabelle and this as to the reason we're watching this. And I didn't even like Annabelle. So I'm not having a fun time.
That's all right.
Last episode, tons of fun. Loved that movie. This is awful.
Well, it is part of the universe, as we say. And the movie we're talking about is Wolves at the Door, which was released in 2017, directed by John R. Leonti. Thank you. Written by Gary Duberman.
I think it's Leonetti.
Leonetti? I'm so sorry, Leonetti.
No, don't apologize to him. You should apologize to us.
That's true.
For those of you listening, you're like, Wolves at the Door? I've never heard of that. It's in the Conjuring Universe? That doesn't sound right. You're right. Don't watch it. It's not worth it.
No, man. But we have to watch it. Let's get to the cast here. Katie Cassidy is Sharon Tate in this movie.
Katie. Yes. All right. Let's jump right into that. Katie Cassidy, who you might know her from the show Arrow on the CW. She was a Black Canary until she wasn't anymore. I don't know. That's its own thing. We're not watching that. And yes, she's playing Sharon Tate. Yes, that Sharon Tate, the Sharon Tate that was an actress and that was murdered by the Manson family, which is what this movie is.
That's crazy. The other person is Elizabeth Henstridge, but as Abigail Folger.
Another the character being another real person that was really murdered. Oh no! Oh, Abrar's ascending. That was crazy.
Sorry.
That scared me. Yes. So, but Elizabeth Henstridge, you may know her from a different nerdy television show. She was on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
That is her.
I don't have anything else to say about any of the rest of the cast. I don't know them from anything, so I won't continue.
That's all right. Well, we have Adam Campbell as.
You know what? From here on out, you can just say this guy as guy that was really killed.
Yes, exactly. But besides all these guys, the main person while we're watching this is because of Eric Landon as Detective Clarkin.
Yeah, he was in Annabelle for a second. And now he's in this for a second.
Yes.
So when we talked about Annabelle, we talked about how there was like talking about the Charles Manson murders on TV. They're like,
Yeah.
oh, this Manson family, it's bad stuff's happening. How spooky is that? And so the director, I guess, just decided like, yeah, I'm just gonna make that a movie. I'm just gonna
Yeah.
make a movie where we just show the Sharon Tate murders. How cool will that be? And then and you know what? I'm gonna spoil it right now. If you guys hear this and you decide you don't want to listen anymore, I personally don't blame you. I would say stick around for Abrar because he works hard. But
Thank you.
I'm gonna say this: there's no haunting in this movie. They don't try to tie in like, oh, the Manson family or demons or something like that. That might even be more offensive, I guess, if they had tried to do that. But they don't, I guess.
Yeah.
This is just how long is this movie?
It was
72
what?
minutes. That's the
Yeah.
only good thing. That's the only nice thing I could say about this movie. This is 72 minutes long, but unfortunately, it's 72 minutes of just tasteless murder, I guess.
Yeah, it's not fun to watch. But there are scary. There's some visuals are like kind of scary, but that does not. It does not top the movie because the overall movie is not great. But there's some ish are okay.
This has potential to be our shortest episode ever. So let's just
Yeah.
jump into it. Well, no,
Well-
because your first ever Brown Boy Wonder podcast episode was like what, 10 minutes?
Yeah, it was 10 minutes. It was me coughing, talking about my Hunter story.
You should bring the coughing back just for this episode.
I'll get sick and I'll do it when I'll record it. I'll record a podcast on that. But before we get into the plot, what do you think the budget was for this film?
I don't even have a guess. They're all in one house. Small cast. There's some names that I recognize, but they're not big names by any stretch of the imagination.
Mm-mm.
It's $10,000.
Give it something. It's $1 million. That was the budget.
This cost them $1 million to make.
$1 million. But what was the box office?
Okay, so here's what I know about this movie, right? Because you and myself and anyone listening to this, they've all said the same thing. What is Wolves at the Door? I've never heard of this because there was no marketing, and I don't even think it had like a wide release. It first released in India for some reason.
Yeah.
And then eventually it got a US release for like a week, a night, I don't know, but like very quickly left theaters like before anything. So
yeah. Any guess?
No, just tell me. How much money did this movie make?
So the budget was $1 million. The box office made $4,382.
Send these people to jail. $4,000.
It's terrible. Absolutely terrible.
Oh, that. Ooh.
But it's okay. Let's get into the plot here.
I think
yeah.
Tommy Wiseau's The Room made more money than that.
If we have, let me look it up right now because this movie we do not care about this movie. Let me see here.
Came out in 2003. The Room.
The Room.
The Room almost made its money back.
Oh, because it was re-released, right?
It does this count the re-release though?
It should be. It's part of the box office. It was in the theaters.
Well, all right. So if we give it 20 years, maybe Wolves at the Door will get a cult following.
No,
A cult following.
Yeah, there is a cult following for sure. Sorry, guys. If you guys watching through Spotify, every time I'm looking this way, I'm looking at Shaq, and I get scared every time.
Yeah, bro found the spookiest thing he could, and it was Shaquille O'Neal.
Yeah, I have his fat head, but every time I'm looking at his direction, I just get a little creeped out. So I'm just gonna look at my screen here. But
Can I make it, how much was? You don't have to answer if you don't want to. How much was that Shaq fathead?
I think it was so it was medium size. So I think I believe it was
That's medium. They come bigger than that.
Oh, they cover the whole wall. I think I bought it for like $70, $60 around there.
$70. Do you custom pick the image, or did they just happen to have that?
No, definitely not. I customized this one.
Okay, can I make a suggestion for another fathead for you to get to add to your fathead collection?
Sure.
Russell Wilson from the Subway commercial.
The ginger voice.
It's spicy.
I got this guy here.
Add it to your collection.
Oh my goodness, I might have to do that then. Is it of him eating the sandwich or just him looking at the camera?
I'll send you the picture. Don't you worry.
Okay.
I will make sure to send you the picture.
Oh, jeez.
That's too dangerous.
It is. But yeah, let's get into the plot here, guys.
Please, let's get into it.
All right. In 1969, John and Mary, a married couple, asleep in their bed, are awakened in the middle of the night by knocks at their doors and windows. John goes downstairs to investigate, but finds nothing. As always. As he gets back to the bed, he hears a crash downstairs. He sees the shadow of a man saying, "Little pig." As he runs back to his wife, he locks the door. After calling the police, the intruders break open the door. Later, the intruders write messages in blood on the walls of the house. But it leaves before Detective Clarkin from Annabelle and the police arrives at the scene. So what was your thoughts in the beginning of the movie?
My thought was the only reason this scene is in the movie is so that they have a reason to call it Wolves at the Door, because they keep saying little pig and they write little pig on the wall.
Yeah.
So it's like the big bad wolf thing. Whatever.
Is that good?
Whatever.
Silly. Well, following that night, Sharon, Jay, Walsh's the other guy, and Abigail.
Yeah, he was he's from somewhere.
Yeah, I forgot where. Well, they're all celebrating Abigail's upcoming.
His name is European and hard to say. That's why I was like trying to give Abrar an out, but I genuinely couldn't find where he's from. He was like Dutch or Norwegian or something like that.
Wojciech?
I don't know.
Wojciech. That's kind of close. Wojciech and Abigail. They were celebrating Abigail's upcoming move back to Boston with a celebratory dinner at El Coyote in Hollywood.
Famous 70s Hollywood imagery. Quentin Tarantino used the same thing, but I dare I say better.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. A great movie. Even though the European guy is upset that that Abby is allowing her parents to influence her decision. After dinner, the four friends return to Sharon's house for the evening. A pregnant Sharon calls her husband from the nursery, but suddenly the line goes dead. Meanwhile, Stephen arrives at the property to see his friend William. Do you remember any of these names?
Well, I remember Sharon because it's Sharon Tate.
Right.
I remember Abigail is the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. girl.
Yes.
The rest of the dudes are all interchangeable. I don't remember.
Exactly.
Which is... So they were real people who were really murdered. So I guess if I did the work, I could have connected the dots on who was playing who. But as far as the movie goes, no, they were just all guys. Like, in fact, if you didn't know who Sharon Tate was as a person, then you would just be like, oh, the pregnant girl and the other girl. Like, that's not even. They don't do anything. Yeah,
that's true. I mean, did they even say like Sharon was like an actress, or did I just forgot about that? There's a line that said that, like, oh, you're an actress or whatever.
I think they didn't. I don't remember, There might be like movie stuff in the house,
Yeah.
but I can tell you this, and I made a point when we were watching it because we watched it together, you and I.
Right.
They made a point to not mention whose house it was.
Right.
For those who don't know, Sharon Tate was married to Roman Polanski.
Ooh.
Famously not a good guy. Famously fled the United States and famously has never come back.
Nope.
But yeah, so they never say whose house it was, and I think they. I don't know. Sharon Tate isn't even the main character in this.
She's not. Yeah.
They focus on the other girl.
So it makes no sense.
Which to me maybe thinks like they didn't. I mean, obviously you have to have some sort of rights or to be able to make a movie off of somebody, but I feel like the family didn't approve. They were like, no.
I'm sure they didn't approve this. Well, Stephen arrives at the property to see his friend William, who lives in the guest house. After selling William a stereo, Stephen tries to leave, only to find the driveway gate disabled. He gets out and opens the gate, but his vehicle turns off unexpectedly. As he returns to his vehicle, he turns on his headlights, on to see a man standing in front of his truck, and a woman standing behind his truck. He then pulled out of the vehicle and then attacked with a sledgehammer.
Yeah, but we didn't even see it.
No.
And now now we're in a very uncomfortable place where it's just like, okay, these were real people who were really viciously murdered. How many years ago? What year is it now? 50 years ago? 45 years ago? Something like that.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, but they decided, I didn't ask for this. They decided to make a slasher horror movie out of it.
Yeah.
And when a slasher horror movie spends any amount of time to be like, oh, here's this guy, oh, we're gonna crush his head with a sledgehammer, and then they don't show it, the part of you that is sitting there watching a slasher horror movie is like, what the hell? You didn't show it. But now they've put me in the uncomfortable position of being like, well, if they did show it, then I would have felt uncomfortable because this guy was really fucking killed like that.
It's like, yeah.
Why are we even here?
What's the point of showing the movie about this brutal thing if you're not going to show it? It's like that Kevin Garnett meme.
Why would you show it to me if I can't have it?
Yeah. So that's what the whole movie is.
It's a lose-lose situation. They lost from the gate.
It's terrible, man.
And you know what's crazy? Is they could have made a movie just like this. It would have been just as bad, probably. Almost certainly. They could have made the same movie, but here's a crazy thought. Have it have nothing to do with Sharon Tate. Make up your own names. You don't even have to change anything else. She could even still be pregnant. She could be in a house like this with a guest house and a guy. Like, you could just change the names, and then it changes nothing. Yeah, but they were probably like, oh, well, if we do that, then we're just ripping off The Strangers.
Exactly, which is a cult classic. I don't know if it's a cult classic, but it's one of my favorite movies, slash movies of all time. And they remade it into 3 parts, and I hate everything about it.
I'd rather be talking about that, honestly.
Oh, The Strangers? What can I say, man?
Let's talk about the new bad one instead. No, let's power through here. Let's get this over with.
All right. Well, the European guy goes outside to have a cigarette, just like Janet in the last episode.
By the way, this is crazy. Yeah. We're already like halfway done with the movie.
Yes, we're like how many minutes are we in? We are 20 minutes in.
Like, okay, so the movie's 72 minutes long, and we're almost at the halfway point, and that's because there is no second act.
No.
The movie starts, and then the first act is like, oh, we're all here, we're all in this house. And then the killers show up, and then we're in the third act. There's nothing else. There's
It's
really
like-
no rising action. It's just we're here and we're going.
It's like the director was holding the script, and then the wind flew, and all the middle pages just flew out. He's like, let's just grab the beginning and the end, and let's just go make this movie.
Those were the good pages.
Yeah. Well, when he, what's his name? The European guy goes outside to have a cigarette. He was approached by the truck in the driveway. He sees a man slumped over. He approaches the truck, but the man lunges at him and chases him at the front door, which is locked. The attackers stab the European guy, drag his body back to the house, and leave him in the shower. Later, the intruders write the word pig in blood on the front of the door. In Sharon's bedroom, she and Abigail become concerned when they observe a young woman plowing the premise. Meanwhile,
Prowling the premises.
yes, thank you. Meanwhile, Jay is stabbed to death while asleep on the couch. This guy was just chilling,
Yeah.
and he got stabbed.
Yeah, that's really all there is to say about it, isn't there?
I wish I can say more, but that's what happened.
I mean,
yeah. When the two hear Jay screaming, they return to discover his dead body and try to hide throughout the house as the intruders stalk them. While Abigail fights with an attacker, Sharon hides in the bathroom and finds the European guy, who is still alive. One intruder breaks down the door to capture both Sharon and the European guy. Sharon and the European guy are dragged through the hallway as Abigail escapes the house. So the scene where... Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, you go ahead. Go ahead.
So the way the intruder invades the house is she was just like stalking, as I said, stalking around. And the way she did it, when you see her, the light... I like this part. The lighting of the body of the intruder is just black, all dark, with long hair. And I thought that was a little creepy, I guess.
Yeah. I was gonna say, what a fun thing to watch. A pregnant, screaming Sharon Tate being dragged through the hallways of this house, which really happened.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, why we made this movie? Just not. Anyways. Abigail tries to get help from William, but he's unable to hear because he was just listening to his music.
Yeah, this was the pothead fellow who I guess was really the one and only survivor of this in real life. Like cops really showed up, and when they found him in the guest house, they were like, "Are you aware that everyone's been murdered in the main house?" And he didn't know. So that's true. So he's just in there vibing to music.
That is kind of creepy though. Like there's something like horrific happening behind your back.
Yeah. You say that, look behind your back right now.
Oh god. I'm not gonna sleep tonight, that's for sure. One of the intruders catches Abigail and carries her to the house. She is taken back to the bedroom where Sharon and the European guy... Is it European guy or is it a European girl?
No, it was a guy.
Okay. Oh yeah. I remember now. They're being held, and then an intruder enters the bedroom and drags Sharon away. The European guy and Abigail fought their way outside, but the European guy is stabbed to death on the lawn. And an injured Abigail makes it to the street to flag down a car, but it finds it to occupy by two of the intruders. She falls to the ground, glazing at the locket Sharon gave her as the two intruders approached her with a blood-stained sledgehammer.
That's the movie.
That's the movie.
It's 70 minutes of just, why is this happening, to, okay, they're all dead.
I feel like it's more like a documentary or like a reenactment. That's what it is.
Well,
But they made it to a movie.
I guess technically, in a technical sense, it is a reenactment.
Yeah.
But what purpose does it serve?
Nothing.
It doesn't. There's nothing here. There's no substance. And I don't even want to get into. I mean, we're discussing the movie, so I guess we will. There's really no good performances in here.
No.
I don't want to dunk on this last Katie Cassidy because she's in stuff, but I'm sorry, Katie. I've never seen her be good in anything. She's like fine in Arrow, which is a CW show. Granted, I think if you took a poll for everyone who watched Arrow, she's like a majority of everyone's least favorite character on that. And then the other main girl, like I said, on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., like she's fine in that. It's like a primetime ABC television show, so it's
Yeah.
but there's nothing here. Nothing in the performances, nothing in the execution, nothing in the cinematography that makes any of this feel worth doing. And that goes triple for the story itself, because it's just a bunch of people that were murdered. And because they chose to do a real life murder, and there's like, we're doing it historically, well, they've put themselves in a corner where no one can get away. There's no triumphant hero moment.
No.
The only guy that survived didn't know it was happening, so they can't even do anything with him. It's just 70 minutes of awful.
Yeah, literally no point of this movie being made. The film does end with a series of interviews of Charles Manson and the attackers. I do want to say the attackers are really creepy.
What I want to say, like, I guess this director should have just made a documentary, but I guarantee there's already like hundreds of documentaries about this.
Yeah.
So he was like, well, I'll just make a slasher movie. Terrible decision. Terrible person. Shut up.
Yeah.
My film reviews, I say I'm always very stingy to give out 5 stars, and I'm also very particular about half a star. To be half a star, you really have to earn it. And normally what I kind of like think of is like you have to be basically unwatchable. Now, I watched this, and I wish I didn't, because it has 0 redeeming qualities. This gets half a star from me.
God damn. Well, I gave it as well too, half a star when I first saw this movie.
That's crazy, because Abrar, you're a person that's like, I'm going to look for the good in things. And you still gave it half a star.
I still give it half a star, even though the show that creepy part when she enters the house, but that small scene does not the big factor.
You get just as much of that in Annabelle. Creepy person in a hallway, right? Like that's basically he's just like copy and pasted one little bit into this movie instead. This movie that shouldn't exist. This movie that should not exist.
Terrible. Well, let's I do have some interesting facts for this movie. In December 2017 roundup of the year's movies, critic Mark Kermode named this not only the worst film released in 2017, but the worst film he ever seen in several years, calling it nasty, morally bankrupt, and dramatically terrible. And I hope I never to mention or think about ever again.
There you go. That's my review.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And again, we always mention the detective is the part of the Annabelle universe, so that's why we were talking about this movie.
That's how we were tricked into seeing it, because when you look up the Conjuring Universe, it's got the 8 movies in it that have been officially released, but then it also says here's 2 other movies that are connected but aren't in it, right?
Yeah.
And one of those is The Curse of La Llorona, which I've seen, and better than this. And then the other one The other one is this, and I'm like, oh, there's a movie called Wolves at the Door. Well, I don't know what that's about. I've never heard of that even. It's like, well, we're doing all the movies. Just throw it in there, make it an even 10. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't know.
It's okay. We got our 10 movies in, but this is not it. But it's all right.
Shortest episode we've done. How long have we been talking?
Run down the time here. 32 minutes.
Let's wrap it up. We're done.
But yeah, not for example, our Saw series. There were at least one bad Saw movie, right?
There's a couple that I did.
Huh.
I think so. Saw 7 is bad. Saw 5 ain't great.
Yeah.
And then the rest are like, oh, this is the one I like. This one's like fine, And then I think I at least was kind of rough on Spiral, even though Spiral has some redeeming things in it.
There is.
So yeah. So there's a couple. I think if you were going to look for anything, Saw 7 is objectively bad. It's objectively poorly made.
Sure.
Because it's got that pink blood.
That's what it was. Yeah. That was really bad. So it's okay to have a bad Conjuring movie.
Yeah,
in this rewatch.
You know what? Because if we go to the end of this and we say which one's the best, which one's the worst, this one's going to take worst without a
Absolutely.
doubt. I don't even have to go further to know.
Absolutely. Well,
yeah.
I do have one more thing.
Here we go.
I do have a clip I want to show you guys. Is Bryan Cranston recalls Charles Manson.
Excuse you? What's going on here?
Let me send you this, and then we'll both watch it together.
Also, I think that's the first time you've ever said Bryan Cranston's name correctly.
Did I always say it wrong?
You a lot of times you say Bryan Cranston, don't you?
Sometimes. Sometimes.
All right. I like Bryan Cranston though.
He is the danger.
He is the danger witch.
Oh no! All right, are you ready for this?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, 3, 2, 1, go.
I saw where you, growing up, had an encounter with Charles Manson, who just passed away.
Yeah.
We just had Mike Love of the Beach Boys on.
I know.
And Mike was talking about how Dennis, the drummer, and his cousin was trying to get the Beach Boys to join Charles Manson's group.
Well, to his credit, Charles Manson had a great group. They were hot. The guitars were amazing.
Yeah.
It was like insane.
But okay, you didn't know that this Charles Manson, he was Crazy Charlie to you?
Well, my cousin and I used to go horseback riding at the Spawn Ranch, which is in it's a community northwest of Los Angeles, and it's very rural. And we would go up there horseback riding. And the last time I did, I was about 12. It was 1968 or late 68, I think, fall. And we were renting our horses, and some guy came in and started screaming, "Charlie's on the hill! Charlie's on the hill!" And it startled us. We're like, "Oh, well, what happened?" And the old guy who was renting his horse said, "Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it." And everybody there, maybe 8 to 10 people, men and women, jumped on horses and galloped away. And we were, wow, what was that? Well, the old guy brings out 2 horses that, Central Park horses that are clunk, 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 clunk. And we start to do our horseback ride in the same direction where they went. About 20 minutes later, we see a trail of horses coming back. And the width of this trail is maybe 10 feet. So horses have to pass by each other very closely. And in the middle of this pack, there was one little man with black hair and dark, dead eyes who was on the horse, but he wasn't holding his own reins. The guy in front of him was holding. And he was just sitting kind of wildly like this, just like going with the movement of the horse. And he was just out of his mind. And my cousin and I are passing, and we're looking at him and like, oh my God. And I looked at him carefully as he was passing, and my cousin said, "That must be Charlie." And then we didn't think a thing of it. The following year, we see, the Tate LaBianca murders, and there had been arrest, and here's the picture of, and it was like, oh, I get on the phone to my cousin, and she's going, I was just about to call you. Oh my God, can you believe it? It's like, that was Charlie Manson.
And you're 13 years old at the time?
I was 12 years
12 years old at the time?
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to process that.
It didn't, and then again, when I heard he died and saw his face again and saw pictures of when he was younger, it was like, oh my God, it was almost like turning a switch. It was like, ooh, I'll never forget that face. And that's why I'm positive it was him, because it was such a big deal that, Charlie's on the hill, and then staring at him on his way back. And it was just indelible in my memory.
That was Bryan Cranston on the Dan Patrick Show talking about his encounter with Charles Manson.
That was spookier than anything in the movie we watched.
Yeah, I agree.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Imagine Walter White. Anyways, great story by Bryan Cranston. Heisenberg
versus Charles Manson. I would take Heisenberg.
Say his name.
I just did.
Oh, there you go. Thank you.
He is the Danger Witch.
Yes, that was Bryan Cranston. And yes, that was this episode of Wolves at the Door. I apologize. Yes, it's probably one of the shortest ones we've done for a rewatch. And I apologize to everyone who want to watch this movie. I apologize, because this is not a movie you want to watch.
Yeah, if anyone like looking through the episodes and you're like, oh, the last one was 2.5 hours, I'm not gonna listen to that. Oh, this one's only 30 something minutes. They're 40 minutes. I'll throw that one on because that'll be easy to listen to. It's because it was bad. Because it was very bad.
Very bad. But yeah, let's just wrap it up here. Next time, where you'll hear us, we're going to be talking about Annabelle Creation, Annabelle 2. So stay tuned for that one.
Luckily, a different director than the first Annabelle movie. We're moving on.
Yes, we're moving on there. But Skyler, where can they find you, man? Will they find you in this movie?
No.
Okay.
Absolutely not. You won't find me in the movie. You won't find me in the theaters watching the movie. You will not find this movie in my personal collection. Where you will find me is here next week. We'll be watching Annabelle Creation.
Absolutely. And of course, you can follow this podcast on Spotify, Apple, YouTube Music, and also on Instagram called Brown Boy Winter Podcast. Just follow me there. I post clips. And for that reason, guys, I think the only thing we'll need to say here is
Hide and biscuits.
Hide and biscuits.